This is the last video and lecture on retouching and repairing images. And what I want to do is I just want to take this panorama image that we had adjusted in a previous section and bring this to its final place that it's going to look like. All right. So what I need to do first of all is do some cropping to get rid of some of this extra stuff. All right. Personally, what I like to do is I like to bring in the guides, and if you bring in your guides, what I want to do is just make sure that I'm up at the top of this edge there to get as much of the top of the building. And I realize I've got some empty spaces over here, but this is what this lesson is going to be all about, is cleaning that kind of stuff up. So I need to come over here and put this at that edge. I want to finesse this a little bit and get it down a little bit lower. There you go, that's perfect. And then I'm going to come over here and grab a guide and bring it into that edge there, and one last one. There you go. All right, and then what I do is just grab the crop tool, or I can use the Marquee Tool, and I don't know if I've shown you this in the past, so I'm going to show it to you now. What you can do is, using the crop or the Marquee Tool, and I seem to have it on a fixed size, so I'm going to go over to normal, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, hold, and drag, and because I have snap to guides turned on, then as soon as I get close to the guides, then the marching ants, all right, the marquee just snaps to that. What I want to do is I want to crop, all right, all the stuff outside of the marching ants away from the image, and I'm going to do that by going under the image menu and choosing crop. There we go, and then I come under here and I choose deselect. All right, so there's not much down here that needs to be fixed. There's some little spots throughout here that need to be taken care of, and then I need to check where the blending stuff is going on. All right, so let's just zoom in a little bit on this guy and see what's cooking. All right, I think I'm going to use the patch tool for stuff like this. There you go. You see what happened? I tried to move something that wasn't on this layer. Deselect for a second. All right. What I want to do is I want to affect everything as if it was one layer right now. So, ooh, that didn't turn out so darn well, did it? All right. Well, we'll fix that if we can. All right. What I need to do is I need to get all of these guys on one layer. And if I were to flatten this, well, then I'd lose all my individual layers. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to create a merged composite. All right, a merged composite is taking all the layers with the eyeballs that are turned on and creating a flattened version of that in your layers panel. So this is an undocumented keyboard shortcut of Command, Option, Shift, or Control Alt Shift on a PC, and then you tap the letter E. Watch my layers panel. I now have a flattened version of this, and I can turn the visibility of those guys off, and I can still see everything that's going on in my image. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here, grab this, move this over here, done, finished, that's all over. Well, there you go, move that, that's done over there. It says no pixels were picked up, right. And come over here and get rid of that. Got a seam there. Got a seam here, so I'm just going to come in, grab that, move this over, great, get rid of that, and got a seam in here, and come down here really kind of close, and move that over, got that, we'll fix that later, alright, Got rid of that. You might want to get rid of that wire there. It looks like it might be a little distracting. Totally up to you as to whether you want to keep it or get rid of it. I think I'm going to get rid of it. Don't need to have it in there. Alright, nobody knows the difference anyways, if you've never seen this photo or been up there. Is there anything else that needs to be fixed over here? I don't think so. So now we're going to scoot over to this end, and there's some blending that needs to go on with this. So I'm just going to do that. And come over here and see if there's any dust spots. I don't see any dust spots. Okay, so now it's time to fill in this stuff here. And possibly get some blending to go on with this. Just move this over to here, put that in, good. And yeah, that's nice. All right, so I'm going to come over here, grab this tool, and I think I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can get more in my window. And I'm going to start off, whoops, I'm going to start off here. And I'm going to grab this much, and we'll see how well content aware fill does. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so let's come over here and see what we can do as far as this is concerned. All right, and again, you know, you can set up keyboard shortcuts for all of this kind of stuff. So I got that going on. Now, the only thing I want to do is I want to come in here and get that, and there you go. So now the only thing I have to do is decide, do I want to keep this wire or do I want to get rid of it? If I decide to keep it, then what I have to do is I have to extend it all the way along. All right, so what are we going to do? What do you think, guys? Keep it or extend it? Keep it, extend it, or get rid of it. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to get rid of it. It doesn't add or subtract anything from the, oh, silly man. Didn't have the right tool selected. Gotta love these live, unrehearsed video tutorials. At least they're not slick like some of the places that are out here online and everything works perfectly the first time. All right, so I got rid of the wire. It doesn't show, doesn't make any difference. In my PDF, I kept the wire, so this is just a little bit of this and that for you guys, so you have a little bit of variance in the learning things going on here. Now, what I need to do is I need to fix that, so I think I'm going to come over here with the Polygon Lasso tool. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, have that as a selection. All right. Now, if I do a copy paste or Command J, I can throw it up onto a separate layer. If I tap the V key, I have the move tool. Now I just use my arrow keys to move this over and then move it up. Down and over and around and all that kind of fun stuff, and then I just come in and fix up that stuff there as well. So got that. I'm going to come in and come back down onto this layer here, grab this guy again, and I'm going to come down here and grab this much of stuff, and I'm going to jump it onto another layer, use the move tool, drag it over, drag it up. That's lined up where it needs to be, and all I need to do now is drop this down and move that up and over, and that is filled in almost as good as it really needs to be. I want to take this layer and move it down to this one, and then I want to take this one and move it down to this one. This is called merging layers, and what you do, how you do that is you go into the layer menu with the one active and you choose merge down, and it just merged the one that was currently selected with the one immediately below. If you do it often enough, you'll remember that Command D or Control E will do that for you. That being said, I'm going to come over here and grab the patch tool. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and I am going to grab this stuff right here, and I'm just going to move this over to there, and there we go, we've got that. So fix that up. It's a little bit dark. Let's just come in and lighten that, and I can lighten this by using a dodge tool. All right, dodge tool comes in with a huge brush, always, because I think you're going to want to dodge a huge area. So I'm going to come in that, I'm going to reduce the opacity down to about 9 or 10%, and if I come in and just paint over this a little bit, I can lighten that up, and we can zoom back out to this and realize that we have our panorama almost fixed up. I might even want to come in and get rid of that little chimney smokestack kind of thing. All right, now the next thing that I want to deal with is the density of the image. All right, obviously the sky is much, much darker over here, and so is a lot of this stuff compared to this over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a curves adjustment layer. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the layers panel, and I'm going to choose curves from this menu. Here is my curves properties dialog box, if you will. Here is my curves layer. All right, and I could just call this one lighten up. There you go. Now, here's something I want to show you that's kind of neat. That's the reason why I brought up the curves dialog box. This guy here is known as the target adjustment tool, often referred to as the TAT, target adjustment tool. You click on that, and then what you do is you put your cursor inside your document window. And I'm coming over here, going to the lighter areas and to the lighter areas, and I want you to keep an eye on that little circle going up and down that 45-degree line. That 45-degree line is known as a curve, although it starts off straight at this point. If I were to click here and then drag, I can actually point this up and like this, and I think that might be a good amount. Now, that was a good amount for this part of the image, not so good for this part of the image. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and click on the mask itself, and I am going to hit the D key on my keyboard to make sure that I have pure black and pure white going on. I'm going to grab the gradient tool, and then what I'm going to do is I have a black to white gradient. And now here it's white to black, and that's because I have the mask selected. Doesn't really matter. Let's just see what's going to happen, and then you'll figure out and learn how things go. So I'm just going to hold the shift key down, which will make sure that this gradient goes on a straight line, and you can see that this is doing exactly the opposite of what I wanted to have done. All right, you can see now over here, we know that in our layer mask that white reveals and black conceals, and I want it to be the opposite. I could have actually clicked on the reverse checkbox up here, and it would have dragged white to black. The other thing I can do is with this guy as my currently active component in the layers panel, I can come under the image adjustments and choose to invert. And now I've inverted my mask, and now you can see how this is lighter. This is its original thing, and we have a nice, more of an even tone thing going on with our sky density. All right, so now if I think that this is possibly going a little bit too much, then what I can do is I can reduce in the properties panel, because I have the mask selected. The mask icon over here is the indicator of what's going on in this, and I can actually reduce the density of the mask. You can see it's not quite as black as it was before, so I can reduce the density of this mask so that it's maintaining the same kind of a blendish thing, but I've taken that out from being pure black to only being 80% black. So it's allowing a little bit of that light adjustment to actually come through down in this area as well. So I have a little bit of a difference, just a little bit of a difference. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I want to increase the contrast over here, because the contrast over here is absolutely amazing, and it's quite flat over in this area here. So yet another curves adjustment layer. This one I'm going to name contrast. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just choose one of the defaults in here. And if I choose this guy, this one is your normal or medium. I call it normal contrast because that's what I use all the time. And I can come over here and choose a strong contrast. And you can see that that went probably a little bit too far, but we can always fix that as well. So now what I'm going to do is come over here and click on this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my gradient across from this side to that side, just like I did last time. Okay, just coming across like that. And now you can see that white reveals, black conceals. I'm concealing some of the contrast on this side, and now I'm maintaining it on this side. great. And if that happens to be just a little bit too strong, then all I have to do is, with the move tool selected or any non-brush based tool selected, if I tap a number on my keyboard, that'll set the opacity of the layer itself. And then I can come over here and turn the layer on and off, and you can see that that's just a good amount of there at my typical 66%. All right, so now we've got that done. What I need to do is make a flattened copy on top of that. So Command Option Shift E to do that, and I'm just going to come over here and call this Merge Composite 2. I'm just going to come over here, highlight this, copy that, and then come over and name this one Merge Composite 1. Just because I like to have my names layered, or names, oh good lord, my layers named what they're for. There we go. You've now had everything that you need to know, for the most part, to retouch your images. It's now a matter of practicing. All right, so in this image here, there are areas in the sky that I might want to fix up, or you can just say, hey, that's Mother Nature, just leave it alone, you know. So anyways, I hope you got a lot out of this lesson, and hopefully you'll be back to either take my advanced course or take my Adobe Camera Raw course. Thanks a lot, guys.